So if you remember in your non-existent brains, I made a video about fairies about 6 months ago. That is furries, not fairies. Tinkerbell is not putting on a fursuit and joining in the satanic ritual that is crowding around a pizza in a dilapidated hotel room, and if you know the rest of that story, you need help. You could not waterboard me to make me read that story again. But it's been 6 months since that video. God, hasn't the time passed? Time passes when you're having fun researching these topics and craving an imminent end at the things you see. But anyway, in that video I basically went over the furry community, why it's not that bad and why people judge them prematurely, and how it's just a few bad apples representing the community that creates this stereotype that people hate. But I did go over some of the stories of these bad apples, and it was deplorable. You had one that created a Frankenstein fursuit that was essentially a graveyard for his non-existent children, as much of the fur on that fursuit was covered in his own ectoplasm, and he attended cons with this suit with a smell that was 10 times more pungent than the accumulation of the mature cheddar under anyone's foreskin. I know some of you don't have foreskin as you live in the colonies, but bad spawn, I guess. And he also had an attraction towards animals, much like this second person, who this video is about, Hypnotist Sappho, who I talked about in the same video for a small amount of time.
I am a zoophile. I do not have a thing for humans. I am more attracted to dogs like German shepherds.
Shut the fuck up!
Blatantly admitting to zoophilia, which is a sexual desire for animals, and throughout that confession video painting it as if it's like coming out as gay.
Is a bit dangerous to even come out with the way that things are right now. And it's a lot like when homosexuals were coming out in the 1960s during Stonewall and those sorts of events.
And even bringing some friends along who are also zoophiles, whose friends apparently have had sexual relations with the family dog, and the parents were apparently okay with it.
People that might be a little more curious about seeing who somebody who is zoo exclusive, someone who themselves is a zoophile and practices it.
They've also been accused of talking to minors and grooming, where there are videos of them talking to said minors.
And like you said, since I am satanic mama, that kind of implies something.
Kind of implies I want 45 ACP in my head. But anyway, they've also been accused of playing VR chat. Nothing wrong there, but it is a war crime. But this video is basically going over Sappho again, as there's been significant changes since that last video. And I thought, why not, since I submitted myself to war crimes in the last video, why not do it again? But without further ado, who is Hypnotist Sappho?
I am more attracted to dogs like German shepherds.
Hypnotist Sappho was a YouTube creator who primarily uploaded VR chat content, looking into hypnotism on the VR chat platform, and exploring phantom sense, which is where you can feel things that come in contact with you through VR. But in order to obtain phantom sense, you need to have the collective equivalent of the IQ and brain cells of a goldfish. But with Sappho's YouTube career, it would come grinding to a halt, as they would publish their now infamous video admitting to the allegation that they are a zoophile.
I am a zoophile. I do not have a thing for humans. I am more attracted to dogs like German shepherds.
Which was like adding nitroglycerin to a fire, because due to that video was circulated and more people learned about who they were, leading them to take down that video, but the damage was done and people began digging even further into their past. And believe me, the allegations do not stop there. Publicly admitting they're into some minors, but not all minors, meaning their previous statement they're not attracted to humans, a complete lie. They would also commit the cardinal sin of performing VR chat ERP, which is performing coitus in VR chat, smashing pixel to pixel with mostly minors. And they did not stop there. After initially going silent after all the backlash on that announcement video, comparing being a zoophile to what the LGBTQ went through in the 90s, she would continue to double down and communicate with quote-unquote intellectuals, the Neil deGrasse Tysons of the zoophile community, to attempt to create an organisation for zoophilia, and that they were the Grandmaster Wizard chairman of said association, and that it was very legal and legally incorporated, and then would go on to Twitter to defend said organization and her beliefs.
I am working with a large group of people, between 17 and 20 active members of the zoosexual community, and that includes writers, artists, intellectuals, and pretty much everybody that you would need to start an organization from the ground up. I am very happy and proud to announce that I am the chairman of the first zoosexual rights organization in the United States.
And it turns out that it was not legal, and it was a lie that the US government recognized it, and not much activity has been undertaken by the organization to this day, so it may be safe to assume it drowned in the ocean that is the internet. But it did not stop there. They started creating a number of NSFW Twitter spaces, which is like a Discord voice chat for Twitter.
Yeah, what is it?
Suck this cock good! You're gonna suck this cock clean!
For zoophile, age regression, and bedtime stories. Yay! Many of the participants were minors. What is wrong with the internet? Can we just alter for our existence? And after that, got exposed again for having a relationship with a 16-year-old, which was then preceded by a number of tweets saying how betrayed they felt, that the minor they were grooming would tell everyone that they were being groomed and were a minor. You can't make this up. Then supposedly lied about a 13-year-old committing self-deletion to push their own agenda and somehow seem like the victim. And shortly after being banned on most platforms because of these actions and having their home address and face doxed, they would do a little buggy and leave the internet.
Hypnotist Sappho
Dog fucker
has joined your lobby.
You know, maybe I even stand up and hit a little boogie with it. Oh, what's that, the SpongeBob?
Most of that was just 2021, by the way, but they would seemingly go radio silent, as with the doxing and the breakup, it was affecting them mentally, so they would check themselves into a mental institute, supposedly, but there was no evidence of this. And whilst they were supposedly institutionalized, would still try to talk to the minor they just broke up with. But they would be seemingly quiet over this time, before they left telling people they were close to ending it all, and even having a moment of mental clarity, saying that she was in the wrong, and explaining that she is seeking help for all the things wrong with her, and she would seemingly be off the internet from then on. And between 2021 and mid-2022, she did live up to that, but it might have been because she was banned off most platforms. Now, mid-2022.
Say I'm a and also I'm a map, so...
There was little to no news on Sappho, except for a different account saying that she had ended herself, and to nobody's surprise the internet celebrated this, but the tweet was in fact a lie, as she was about to return to the internet, but had already done so on VRChat, saying she had technically done no crimes whatsoever.
Since I haven't actually done anything, technically I haven't, like, committed a crime. I just say I'm a and also I'm a map, so yeah, whatever. I look at artwork. I look at fucking artwork, that's all I do.
And thus we jump back into the pit of delusion, as she would seemingly get banned from VRChat almost immediately, and complain on her YouTube community tab that this was the only form of social media she had left, and this was extremely detrimental to her mental health. And around this time, Elon Musk acquired Twitter, and his view on censorship is that it shouldn't exist, and a wave of accounts were unbanned, and certain people could recreate their accounts. So Sappho could quite easily return to Twitter now. Another reason I hate this tweet is because the best distribution of Linux or flavor is in fact Kali. Anyone else's opinion is just immediately invalid. But anyway, coincidentally, around this time she was released from the institute, if there ever was an institute, but they would also return to their usual ways, grooming another 14-year-old who around this time frame should be 16. They are quite literally spawn camping the preschool. But this was in their new Discord server. A Discord server where they talk directly to minors and even say such things in voice chat, which I brought up earlier.
And like you said, since I'm Satanic Mama, that kind of implies something.
This is also where most of the voice chats are leaked from. But with their return to the internet, they would also return to YouTube, creating cybersecurity videos.
We make the feds seethe by talking about cybersecurity topics, commentary, the glowies, and also certain three-letter agencies.
And a website called Fuck the Feds, teaching you how to keep your data secure and hidden from things such as the government. Presumably people thinking this is them teaching people like them to cover their tracks with things like zoophilia. Now this continued all the way to December of 2022, where they were still doing their terrible activities and still tweeting, and they had learned nothing. They just wanted to move on from the situation like it never even happened and still perform the activities they were doing, which was illegal. And let's not mention morally disgusting, but there was one thorn in her side that just kept following her and reminding her of the thing she is, and documenting every wrong step they had taken on the internet. And that was Kiwi Farms, a forum page readily distributing all the information on Sappho and all her wrongdoings. Sappho despised these people and blamed them for most of the harassment they get and the doxing, and personally went to Kiwi Farms to argue with them, which resulted in a number of delusional posts, either arguing with them, and even in some occasion admitting they were wrong, and that they are not mentally sound, only for the next day to backtrack and say it was just a moment of weakness. But Kiwi Farms was able to track down what church she goes to. As part of her so-called recovery process, it was to get back into church, and even finding an updated picture of her, something she would post herself anyway. But around New Year's of 2022, she would be swatted, something which would be captured in Brandon FM's video of her, as he was interviewing her at the same time.
Trucking out like that? Is it because you're worried about stuff, or?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you guys.
Okay.
She would blame this entirely on Kiwi Farms and provide limited evidence of it actually happening. But in Brandon FM's Hypnotist Sappho video, released on the 27th of January 2023, not only does she talk about why she's like this, with excuses of past trauma from being abused by her father, and being groomed herself, which both reasons are not valid to continue the cycle yourself with other minors.
With my dad, I mean, he was fine too, but, you know, he had a head injury when he was younger, and that made him have like anger issues and stuff, and he kind of had a bad drinking problem, and he's been through a lot, and he's had a lot of run-ins with law enforcement. I regret a little bit now, but I dated some older people and, you know, things like that, but
In that video, she would also say her final goodbye. And just watching that final goodbye, I can quite truthfully say, in my opinion, you cannot have your own monologue on the same level as life is strange after doing the things you have done.
lost and spiritually sick individual. I betrayed my original purpose to do no harm and developed a twisted worldview where I believed reprehensible acts were in fact love or could ever be love. Journey to cleanse myself of this terrible sickness. Something more dangerous than any other thing I have experienced in my life. But it's not too late for me, and it's also not too late for you to live a normal life.
Like when you know the context behind this person and the things they've done and you watch this back, it just exuberates a level of uncanniness. Like the G-Man was doing the entire dialogue or something. But that would be better. But they basically say they're changing now, you know, they're on a strict schedule, and they have people that actually care about them now, and that care has led them to want to improve. It's very vague about what they talk about improving on. Does that mean they're not going to be doing their illegal activities anymore? Or does that mean they're just not going to react to people calling them out about their illegal activities anymore? Nobody knows. But one important thing highlighted by Brandon FM is they've had moments of clarity like this in the past, only to then begin the cycle once again. But the final message is basically, I'll be okay guys, I'm not receiving any judgment or trial for any of the things I've done. I'm just going to be incognito on the internet from now on.
I'm focusing on other things now. and have the people around me that I've needed for a long time. Healing isn't an easy process, but I really do want to change, so I'm on a strict schedule now, and I'm fundamentally changing parts of my life. I'm getting better now because I've finally woken up, and I'm being treated with compassion by people that actually care. So I guess that it's goodbye now. For real this time. I'll be okay. And I'm sorry for letting everybody down. Don't worry too much about me. I'll be fine.
And then they went poof. And ever since the beginning of 2023, information on Sappho has been quite dry.
Some people think I quit the internet, and some people think I committed.
Alright, bro.
You know, I've said this in previous videos about how impressive the documentation of kiwi farms is, and how if you're like someone like Sappho, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. Because they've been trying to find any information on their current username on the internet since they retired from most of social media, stated by themselves on their YouTube community tab, which they occasionally use to tell people how things are going, and condemn others, like how people thought they were going under the name Piggy now, and going on to say that isn't them, but they hope they get the judgment they deserve, and going on to say they have moved on from their awful past, and are still maintaining a distance from social media platforms and games like VRChat. She also goes on to ridicule the people on Kiwi Farm still following her around, and that she gets a warm feeling knowing that people are still doing so. But Kiwi Farm seems to believe that they are still active on VRChat, with some YouTube videos linked, with someone in a VRChat with a similar story to Sappho using a voice changer, and talking about how most people think they offed themselves, or quit the internet.
Yeah.
How old are you? I'm 20.
What are you, 16?
No, I'm
You're
20.
20. You're too
Yeah.
old.
Oh, wait, don't.
Wait, what does that mean? Wait.
I'm not all alone.
You
I have a
must
partner.
be.
You're 17.
bro.
You must be.
What? What?
I went to a church, and then while I was at the church,
Bro, God ain't gonna
people
fucking
doxed
help you,
where
bro.
my church was.
That's how.
Someone tries to fix themselves, and it doesn't work. They don't go and try to fix themselves again. Some people think I quit the internet, and some people think I committed.
Alright, bro's
Okay,
lying.
come on.
Now Sappho goes by the name Connor and is doing voice training, so it may not be that far of a stretch to believe this is them. But I like to believe this is generally just a troll, going into lobbies saying all the important details about Sappho's past, trying to get a reaction out of people. But if Sappho truly did want to abandon her previous name, due to the disgust they felt with all the crimes they've done in the past, why does she still feel the need to update people through the YouTube community tab? It very much seems counterproductive if she's trying to distance herself from her past, but still goes back to correct people when they have new accusations towards their name, and even update people on their life with the latest post being 2 months ago. I can't speak to illegal activity, but I don't think they've dropped all the connections to that name. They still hold some care for the platform they used to have, otherwise they would have just deleted the YouTube channel, and not cared about people making allegations towards said name. Now, it's unclear where Sappho is today and what she's doing, and if she's still doing illegal activity, but they have stayed true to one thing. They have significantly reduced their presence on social media platforms, at least as the name Sappho, but it's unknown if they go under another alias. But one thing that is known is that they have indirectly caused damage to the furry community. I still believe not all furries are bad, and people like Sappho painted a terrible reputation for them, just by sharing the same interest of liking anthropomorphic characters. I don't think Sappho has changed, just purely on the fact they've had these moments of clarity in the past and then gone straight back to doing their activities. But there's no evidence to back my claim up, and time can only tell. But good luck with a therapy session after watching this video, and bye bye.